Okay, should be good. All right, Patrick,
All
thanks
right.
for coming down. I appreciate it. Like I mentioned to you, we're bringing in people from the community and doing some interviews and trying to give some content to people who live here that is helpful, in their everyday lives, not necessarily real estate related. And so I was thinking, recently we talked about financial planning,
Right.
and I didn't know anything about it. I said it's something I probably should be doing, though. I knew that, right? And so I thought, a lot of people would love to know, like, what are the top 5 things they should ask a financial advisor? And so, yeah, where should someone start?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And it is right. Like when we talked, you had questions for me, and it kind of sparked this video. And people should be asking financial advisors a few questions when they're going out and looking. Number one, you want to go and talk to an advisor. If you don't have one, please, this is something that's very important for you and your family. And go out and talk to an advisor, especially someone local that you can get to and ask questions and ask a few of them, how they run their businesses, and a few questions that I always get asked, or I want my clients or potential clients to ask. Number one, these are in no particular order, is what services do you provide for your clients? Do you, are you specifically in retirement planning? Do you do life insurance? Do you team up with estate planning attorneys and CPAs? What kind of products do you offer, and how does that look at my financial plan as a whole? So we want to know those sorts of things. What services those would be, and looking at that holistic picture.
Okay, great. You mentioned talk to someone local. Why is it important to have someone local?
Well, I believe it's important, and you know this directly from your business. Is it's someone in your community. You see them at the grocery store, or you see them at the football game on Friday nights, and there's someone in an office in your community that you can walk into or call at any time. You're not getting a robot advisor or a robot realtor.
Okay.
That's why it's really important. It's more of a community base. You feel like you can depend on that person.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I helped you guys sell your house, and then you bought one of the homes we had for sale, and now you're just a block away from us. So that's nice too, to know. You can have your financial advisor right down the street. So great. Okay. All right. Awesome. So what are some of those services that you provide to your clients?
Yeah, and it can range anything from someone walking in and wanting to buy a stock or a bond. That was kind of the old-fashioned way of thinking about a broker-dealer or an advisor. But we kind of go above and beyond. We're looking at the individual and its family's goals, which means your long-term goals, your retirement goals.
Okay.
What do you want to do in retirement? What does that look like for you? So we plan that. We not only
Do you
look
start
at
with that and work backwards? Or?
it all depends on the client's goals. If they are saying, "Hey, I'm 55 years old and I need to get my butt in gear," we sit down and look at that goal. If that's what's important to them at that point, yes, that's what we're going to focus on. If someone else says, "I want to buy a house in 2 to 3 years and I want to have enough for a down payment," how are we going to get there? So we start with day one. Where are we today? And then we say, where do we want to get to, and how are we going to get to that in between? And so that's how we're setting those separate goals. So every little goal that you have is going to be separate. It could be short term, it could be long term. So we offer those services. With long-term planning or retirement planning, we look at your whole picture. And we want to make sure that not only your retirement plan at your employer or a pension plan, that has to be added in. We want to look at life insurance, how that affects your whole picture going forward from today, 5 years from now, 10, and then into retirement. And how that's going to look and how that's going to be projected. And we have an established process that I use to show individuals and families like yourself what that's going to look like. And it really gives the client a sense of ease of saying, yes, we can get there if we follow these steps, or boy, we need to really look at our goals and put a plan into place to do that. So it's really, we have services that are going to cater to the small term goals of someone or long term goal and anything really in between.
Okay, so number one, what services do you provide? That's interesting. You mentioned about the life insurance. I never would have thought to ask my financial advisor about that. So number two, question to ask: what makes your client experience unique? Right?
Yeah, so that's another thing that folks should be talking to their advisors. What makes you different than someone maybe I've already worked with or someone that I was referred to? And so the client experience that I provide our clients is, number one, knowing you as an individual and as a family as well, knowing that whole picture, because that is going to put into place that story. Where do we want to get to? Everything's not cookie cutter. We can't just put you in a plan that someone else down the street is in the exact same plan.
I'll put you on the spot. How many kids do I have?
You have 4.
Good job. Okay.
Good.
He knows me.
That's how it works. But the same thing. That's where you want to make sure that your needs are being met, and that doesn't mean your needs are the exact same needs as someone else. And it's also making sure that that's planned out, whether it's a tax efficient plan or looking at college education for the four kids. How is that going to look, and how does that play into your plan as a family?
Okay, awesome. And obviously, this question I had. Obviously, you have to make money,
right?
And it sounds like different financial advisors have different ways of doing that and different times of year that they charge, or it depends on if you take out, put in, that sort of thing.
Right.
So that's a great question. Question number 3, how do you charge for your services?
Yeah. So and I always want my clients to ask that, and I think everybody should be asking their advisor, how do you get paid, right? We're not doing this for charity work, so what I like to do is be upfront and transparent about any fees or costs throughout the year and how that looks. Now, every action that a client produces or has a plan in place may have a different cost to them. So I provide those costs. What that means, if you're in a certain managed portfolio, that's going to have a certain cost to it. If you buy a certain fund or stock or bond, that's going to have a price to it as well. But the most important thing is really just be upfront and transparent about that. And that's one of the things that how I add value to my clients' experience is just being upfront. There's no hidden fees. You're upfront and you say, this is what it is, this is how it costs, and that's what it is. And before every time we would do any kind of action in my office with the client, we're always setting up what that's going to cost them or not cost them at that point, or save them in the long run as well. So we document all of that and go through that with the client before any action is being made at that point. So it is really important, because I hear a lot of stories of folks saying, well, I don't know what I pay, or I don't know how my advisor gets paid off of my account, or what everything
That's something
costs.
You probably should know.
And you should know, because it's very important. So those are the types of things that you want to dissect when you're asking an advisor. What is this going to cost me? Because everybody's very cost conscious, and they should be at that point.
Okay, that's good to know. And question number 4. What is your ideal client? And that makes a lot of sense, because I could see there's maybe some financial advisors that only work with businesses, or some that work with small families.
Right. Yeah. So my ideal client, I always say, it's kind of funny. I use the 4 A's. It's just kind of an easy kind of way to say it. I always want a client that has available assets, right, that we can work with towards those goals, whether it's buying a house in a year or two, or planning for retirement. those sorts of things. So we want to look at that, but that's not the most important. It's not how many assets do you have, and I only work with this. The other parts that feed into that are they an advocate? Are they going to go out and say, boy, I really like my experience. I like going and seeing Patrick, and he's doing well for me. Are they going to go out and talk to their friends and their community members about their experience? Are they advisable? When I'm in there and doing research for them and putting their goals and their best interest at hand, are they taking that advice from me?
Okay.
If they're not, well, maybe they don't need me. Maybe they don't need an advisor per se, and they can maybe be better off going somewhere else.
Yeah. Or maybe you just don't want to work with them then.
And maybe I don't want to work with
we
them
don't
as
take
well.
every listing.
And
if I go in and I meet with people and we look at the data and we say, yeah, it looks like your house will sell for $300,000. They go, yeah, I totally see that, but I want 400. And I say, well, I'm not the agent for you then.
Right.
Because no one's going to be happy, right?
Exactly. And that kind of brings me to the next point as well, as saying, can I help you at that point? And is this a good fit? Because not every client is a good fit, or not every person that comes into our office is a good fit. So we have those conversations before anything's kind of brought forward. And I like to speak to those prospects and those potential clients at that time to make sure we're a good fit, not only for me, but also most likely for the clients. That kind of brings me into the next point too. Are they, and this is kind of a funny word, but are they awesome? Do I like seeing them and having them in my office? Or is it one of those things where you say, oh man, this person's coming in today, they're not advisable, they're not this or that. I want to be glad that someone's coming in, and for all my clients, they are like that. I enjoy having them come in and helping them reach those goals. So the 4A's are kind of a very loose base of a clientele that I look for when we're advising, and it's been working very well so far.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. And finally, question number 5. How much contact do you have with your clients? And I see that as an important one because, I don't want to be sending a bunch of money to someone and just never hear from them, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's a great point. So I always sit down and talk to those clients, and we pull up a plan. Okay. How often do you want me to contact you? Now, I have some responsibility of saying, at least once a year, we need to look at things. But we then break it down per that individual and say, would you like to be contacted every quarter? Do you want to be contacted every 6 months? Or maybe it's every week. Maybe they want a phone call every week. So we establish that. So everyone in our office is a little bit different. So some folks are, hey, I'll talk to you at this time of year, or this and this, but I always try to be a little bit more proactive that way as well, and being respectful for their time and what they wish upon it as well. But that's another big thing is being proactive.
Sure.
And reaching out, especially if there's a change in their portfolio, if I see something that needs to be talked about with them that might be a big part of their goal, I'm going to be reaching out to them, not the other way around, where they need to try to get a hold of me. I'll be the one reaching out and being proactive, because I feel that's important as well, because I have their best interest at mind in the long run as well.
Okay, awesome. That was super helpful, and I'm sure everyone watching today learned a lot, and you're probably going to be getting some calls.
Well, that'd be nice. Yeah,
what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, it's either just call my office, and or email is the biggest thing, and I'm sure you have that all available for me. But
Yep, we'll have a link here down below where people can access that information and give you a call and get the conversation started.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, is getting the conversation started. And I tell folks, well, do I need an advisor when they ask me that? And I said, well, come in and talk to me. It doesn't. They don't
need to prepare a bunch of stuff or anything like that.
No, it's always nice that they do, and that'll give me a better picture of what their plans have been and where they want to get going. But if they just want to call and ask a few questions, I'm always open for that. I always have folks coming into my office, and we put it on the schedule. It doesn't cost anything to sit down and have a conversation. And that's the really nice thing about getting to know someone as well as there's not really any pressure. If they just need some answers and an education, by all means, give me a call and we'll have a meeting and get things squared away. Whether you're working with me or not, I'd rather have someone come in and ask those questions so they feel better about where they're going with those goals.
Awesome. Or they could do like we did and just meet at the Greenie for breakfast.
That'd be even better. Yeah, I like doing that too. I'm always open for those meetings. Those are the best. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here today and
no
taking
problem.
time out of your schedule to do this for people in McFarland, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate doing this as well. Thank you.